Hey, welcome back to this week's edition of the Small Business Big Ideas Show. Our next guest is Frank Karaglanis, and he's in Louisville, Kentucky. He's a going concern. He's in background in sales and in marketing and business and advertising and pro sports and just doing some really cool things. And he and his colleagues from the field of pro football and the NFL and in the sporting field have gone together, and they've developed an organization called No Neg 101. No Neg 101. And the goal is to deflect negativity in our homes, jobs, churches, schools, workplace, and mainly in our minds. And that's a tough task at times. So without further ado, let's say good evening to Frank. Frank, welcome, man.
Dave, thanks for having us on. I appreciate it. It's good to be on here.
I was introduced to you by a mutual friend. We have to do a little shout out to Kathy Wilson. And
it's quite positive. I like Kathy. Tell her hey for me.
Well, she'll be listening next week, so you just did. And okay, so how did this all come about? Because, I was talking at the top of the show with my producer, Todd, who's here with me, and we're talking about, boys, like the news ever negative these days, like everything you hear, it's like the economy and this and that and murders and, it's just like, it gets to you after a while.
Well, you just kind of nailed it, like right on. Actually, I was going through a rough period in my life. Things weren't really going well for me, and I was out swimming in my backyard. And actually, I got to go back a few steps. I met a gentleman at a bookstore, Derby Week in Louisville. He was an Indian. He put his arm on my shoulder, and he said, "You're going to see a hawk, and you're going to come up with a crazy idea, and you're going to be a multimillionaire." I said, "Man, this guy's on drugs."
Okay.
Yeah, and he was about 70 years old, and he told me some things because I was paralyzed before when I was 14, and he knew this. So I listened to him because he said, "You were paralyzed, blah, 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 you have the power within you," and all this stuff. And so, I said, wow, I need to pay attention to him. And at the time, I was really working with a lot of rock bands and rap bands, and I had somebody getting ready to give me a lot of money to start a record company, which I said, you know what, this is probably what it's supposed to be. I'm going to do this record thing. And then I didn't really feel good about the record stuff and the money, the industry, the way it was going, so I didn't do it. And I'm swimming in my back. Oh, first of all, he says I'm going to see a hawk. When I see a hawk, I need to follow my gut, okay?
Okay, wow.
It sounds strange, but I'm in my backyard swimming in my pool, and I'm not going to mention names, but somebody came out there and was telling me what a loser I am. I lost my job, all this, everything in the world's going wrong. And the hawk's flying above my head. It's going, caw, caw. And I said, wow, that's weird. And then I put up my arms. I said, you know what, I deflect you. I deflect this negativity. I'm not accepting it. And then I had a vision of this guy with one eye, and he was deflecting words, fear, anger, worry, and hate. It was all in my head. And I said, wow, this is weird. I got to do something about it. And so this is what initiated the Nix. And Nix is Greek for deflecting, and the one eye is the central eye of truth that we put on them. And I had this vision, like when I was paralyzed, deflecting the world and not accepting all the negativity like you're talking about, like with TV, the news, everywhere you turn, someone's saying something bad. I just chose to flip the switch and to live my life the way I want to live it, okay? And that's what developed this Nix. And so I said, I need to get this out to people. And then I went to somebody by the name of Tom Kohler. He was one of the guys who was instrumental in starting rallies. And I told him about my vision, my idea. He said he liked it, want to go with it. And then I started attracting people to me, like the guy that did all my artwork for all the rock bands I work with. I said, I have this idea, and I tried to explain to him what it is. I said, this guy, I said, maybe like an Ultraman type of guy, but he has a shield, and he has a deflecting symbol of the no smoking sign in there, and he's deflecting things around him, and he doesn't do anything unless it's positive. He flips the switch. And it took about 3 months for him to finally come up with what was in my head, but then we got it, and then we went and we started packaging it, and we decided what we wanted to do is really help people with this. I mean, we're going to make a lot of money, but the main goal was to help people, is to empower themselves, for them to take control of their life and not poor pity me, blame the world for everything's going wrong, and just let them know that everybody can do whatever they want to do if they believe and truly believe and don't have zero doubt. Because when I was paralyzed, I think that's what got me through. I knew I was going to play football again. I knew I was going to do all this stuff. I seen myself doing it, and it actually happened. They said it was a miracle, but I don't think it was a miracle. I think it was because I had positive belief, and that's the way it is.
Were you paralyzed by a football injury?
Yeah.
So
yes,
you were
I was
playing with...
actually taken off the football field. I was 14 years old.
Oh, man.
I was playing football, and I cut every nerve in my left arm. And the doctors told my parents that I needed to accept life the way it was going to be. I was going to be paralyzed the rest of my life. And nerves are like spaghetti; they can't heal, they won't heal, this and that. And I chose not to believe it. Okay. I chose to deflect, like I use that word, deflect it. And I seen myself, I always start at the end because it's not where you start, it's where you finish with me. I seen myself playing football. I seen it all happen, and so I knew I was going to be better. And then the doctor said, 9 months later that my nerves registered it was a miracle because it doesn't happen. It wasn't a miracle. I just knew it was going to happen. The same thing with this NICS. We're going to help billions of people across the world because NICS is a universal symbol of positive. That's all he is. When you see him, you just, no matter what life is throwing you that day or no matter what negativity is being thrown in your world, when you see NICS, it's a symbol that changes you to flip the switch to be positive, no matter what's going on. Because life is life and not everything's perfect. And so I think you kind of got the gist of it. It is what it is. Life is what you think it is. And if you say you're having a bad day, you're having a bad day. And if you say that you're having a good day, you are. And so that's what we're trying to teach you, really.
Gotcha. So no neg Nix. That's the willowy boy with the shield, and he's deflecting all the negative energy all around him. You're calling him a true superhero in today's turbulent times. When negative forces and influences start infiltrating his mind, Nix quickly flips it around and turns bitter lemons into sweet lemonade, right?
That's exactly right.
Who's this geared to? Is it geared to youth or is it geared to adults? What's your target?
Well, Dave, that's a good question because it's really geared toward 0 to whenever. Because I believe in starting young because adults, you have to convince them with scientific proof for them to believe in the unseen. They just don't actually get it. I think when you start younger, you automatically accept it and you live that way. You need to convince, believing in the unseen, kind of like use a seed example. When the seed's under the ground and you water it and water it, people in the world, unless they see instant results, they don't believe. And most of the times they quit on their dreams because it stops. They stop before the seed sprouts. Children automatically accept it. We want to reach them right away, but we also want to deal with everybody else. And we've been working with people from AA and school groups and stuff like that and trying to talk about the positive things in the world and get them out of the negativity. So your answer is 0 to whenever.
How are you getting the word out? And you see this sort of going global. So, what's your action plan, your big vision to make that happen? I guess, this interview is one way, but how do you intend to get, No Neg 101 to be a global force and, get people to buy in from all over the world?
Well, yeah, it's good one, Larry Kloss. So it's kind of viral. Actually, I'm going to follow the universe, whichever direction it's taking me, because it takes me different directions every day. The internet's one way. I've already been, we put our shirts in Walgreens drugstores here in Louisville, Kentucky. We're selling shirts on the internet. We're getting ready to be in some retail chain outlets. We're part, Leo, what are we doing with juvenile diabetes?
Wow.
Well, we're working with the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, but the Louisville chapter to help their cause and at the same time give the city of Louisville, Kentucky something positive to think about and wrap their arms around. And the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation happens to be an organization we reached out to because Klaus Wilmsmeyer, who's here with us today, is a retired NFL Super Bowl player, and he plays in their annual charity golf tournament. And over coffee one night, we were trying to decide how we could give back to the community, and that was an area and a path we went down. And so we're working with them in organizing a black tie fundraiser later this fall, just to provide some
collecting diabetes
outreach.
Right. How's the mood in Louisville these days? What's the economy like? Where are people at? What's on their minds these days? And how are you sort of helping to shift that that energy? Because you say one of the missions for NEG 101 is a smile, a kind word.